Today, let's talk about something more universal. Food. Everyone likes them, right? Because I certainly do. I love food. It is actually my biggest reason of why I decided to travel around the world. I want to go around the world, see different cultures, and see what they can do using their local ingredients to feed their own people. So today, I've prepared a list of some of the weirdest food I have ever found while traveling around the world. They are not necessarily the nastiest or the most disgusting ones out there, but they are definitely the strangest. However, a standard disclaimer: if you can easily get sick at the sight of blood, organs, or other animals you cannot simply find in a supermarket, your viewer discretion is advised. And with all of these out of the way, let's begin with South Africa. A few years ago, I was traveling in Soweto. It's a very famous slum just outside Johannesburg because it signaled the beginning of the end of the apartheid regime. All the famous black revolutions took place in Soweto. So as I was walking in the historical slums, I found out there was this little shop that sells kota. Well, what's a kota? It's the derivative of the English word quarter, because it's literally just a quarter of a loaf of bread emptied out and stuffed with all kinds of meat. So I approached the shop owner and showed him a bill like this. And I asked him, what can I get with this bill? And he said, wow, you can get everything in our shop, and I will get you the best thing we have, the kota quantum. My eyes glowed and I said, wow, this sounds absolutely amazing. Let's do just that. And a few minutes later, I ended up with this bread baby. It's actually like a baby because it's very heavy. It's about 5 or 6 pounds. And was very warm. I could hold it like this, and it was absolutely delicious. Wait, something's not right. And as it turned out, a kota quantum is a full loaf of bread, emptied out and stuffed with everything. I mean, everything. Vienna sausage, ham, spam, chicken, beef, goat, a half dozen of eggs, and then even a full order of fries. I mean, yeah, this is not for one person. I tried to finish it, but I couldn't for 3 whole days in South Africa. So I had to bring it back home and then finished it in another 4 days. So it's definitely one of the weirdest things that can keep you fed for a full week. And please, don't tell my doctor about this, okay? Okay, fellas, this is gonna sound bad, but just hear me out, okay? You see, as an Asian, I kinda-ish tried a bat. Yeah. When I was in Seychelles just a few years ago, I was invited to try the local delicacy, which is a fruit bat. They are actually very prominent because they are the largest things flying around in the Seychelles skies, and they are diurnal, which means they are active during the day. And how did it turn out? It's not good. Yeah, the heavy Creole sauces drowned out every single other taste, and since bats need to fly, they need to keep their body weight light, so there wasn't much to eat with. So it turned out to be a very bony chicken with a very large but fleshless wing. Yeah, so it was quite forgettable. And let's just forget that I mentioned this and move along, okay? Yeah? Ah yes, what is a wonderful food list without some kind of insects, huh? And today let me introduce you to cocotero. It is the larvae of the palm weed beetle. And you can find this twitching, writhing delicacy in Iquitos, the capital of the heart of the Amazon. What the locals do is actually they keep them on food scraps inside small buckets. And whenever you order one, they will simply just impale them on a large stick and put them on the stove. So yes, they are still moving when they hit the open flames. And as for the taste, they are actually not bad. Yeah, but still, they are not good because it's still an insect. But actually, it's not that bad because they are 30% fat and they are somehow lightly salted. So it came out to be like a very, very fatty, salted pouch. But some of the people claim that it tastes like bacon. Trust me, those people have never had bacon before. And for the next one, I wouldn't call it food. But you can judge for yourself, okay? When I was visiting Sweden last year, I came across this museum called the Disgusting Food Museum. It has all kinds of horrible food from all around the world, but it was actually inspired by Sweden's own sustramine. And what is sustramine, you ask? Boy, do I have a story to tell you. It is literally just wild herring in seawater and put into a can. Yes, no cleaning, no processing, just fish rotting in can. Simple and very unpalatable. The museum offered me a free sample of any size. Yeah, any size, but I'm pretty sure no human being is able to take more than a nibble under one condition. As long as I take it outside. Because there's a law that specifically prohibits you from opening sustramine indoors because it is considered a biological weapon. But before you open it, the fish is already out to get you. Because as you can see, as fish is allowed to slowly rot inside a can, it builds up gases. Yeah. So it depends on how long you let the fish rot inside the can, the pressure inside can build up and up and up. So if you don't open carefully, it can potentially explode and you get seriously injured. Pretty hardcore, right? And once you open it, oh, the sweet scent, it just permeates all over the field. Oh, and after so much deliberation, I finally took a small bite. And trust me, it's not very good because it's crunchy. Yes. Who would have thought rotting fish in a can turns out to be crunchy? Yeah, and the smell? There's no word that can describe it. Oh, it's absolutely abhorrent. There's no way. Let me try this. Imagine vomit and feces mixed together into a dark green pus, okay? And then you put it inside my old roommate's forgotten sock. And you put it to the corner of our wardrobe and let it rot for about 7.5 years. Yeah, that's the closest I can get to describing it in words. Let's go back to South America. A few years ago, I was traveling in Iquique in northern Chile, and I came across this fisherman who was cracking open some kind of rock on the roadside. So I asked him, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Yeah, this is our dinner. It's bilta." And I said, "How are you supposed to eat a rock, right?" But as he cracked it open, I realized this ain't a rock. This is some kind of living, breathing organ that is just bleeding everywhere. Bright red blood everywhere. I was a little bit shocked and I asked him, "How are you supposed to eat this?" He said, just pluck it open and eat it, no cooking, no seasoning. Go ahead. And I was a little bit intrigued, so I said, "Okay, sure, I want to try it, right?" Because it's bright red, so it can be juicy or even, fruity. Boy, was I wrong. It has this very strong iodine taste that just stinks and numbs your brain and poisons your nose. So I was just spitting it out and just like, oh, this is absolutely disgusting. And it turned out to be even more dangerous than just being disgusting. As I later found out, bilta and a lot of similar animals in its own kingdom has this very high concentration of vanadium in its blood. And vanadium is a heavy metal that can be very poisonous if ingested in a large quantity. And I don't mean like a mountain of it. I mean just a kilogram of bilta can put you to sleep forever. So yeah, it's pretty hardcore, not for just eating it, but also for dying with it. As a Chinese, I'm pretty sure that I am very resistant to a lot of things that the foreigners consider to be absolutely atrocious. Chicken feet? That's perfectly normal. And what about this adorable century egg? What do you mean the foreigners voted it as the most disgusting food of all time? This is perfect for breakfast. Seriously, I eat it for breakfast. Right? But the notion of mine completely changed when I visited Chengdu in 2019. Just in 3 days of short time, I managed to find 3 things I could put onto this list. So here we go. First up is something that's actually a little bit cute because there's an emoji for it. A pig snout. Yeah, here in Sichuan, people actually eat pig's nose as some kind of a cold dish or perhaps a small snack. And second up is pig's intestine. I've had the intestine in a lot of other places before, but this one's a little bit different. You see, people here, they let the pig's intestine simmer in the soup for a long time. And since it's still in an intestine, no matter how hard you wash it, its fat still has that kind of faint feces taste. And once it's in the soup, it's really hard to get rid of it. And finally, the heavy hitter, a pig's brain. I know, it's crazy. Locals actually eat brains there. And I was very hesitant to eat it when I was there because it's a very weird organ to eat, but there's also this thing called a prion disease. If you are not flinching right now, you must have not known prion disease. Let me tell you the gist of it, okay? It's not actually a disease or some kind of virus or bacteria. It's basically a protein that has a problem folding itself. And the only thing it does is to tell other proteins that come into contact with it to fold it the same way as it does. So it's a self-propagating bad protein, basically. And since folding protein is a very basic function of your body, there is no way to stop it without killing you. So yeah, a prion disease is 100% incurable. And the only way you can get it is to come into direct contact with another species' nervous tissue, such as ingesting the brain. So I was very hesitant to eat it, but after a little bit of deliberation, okay, a lot of deliberation, I finally decided to eat a little bit. And it's not worth it. Yeah, it's basically a white, gushy, nutty paste. Has no taste, no texture, nothing. It's not worth it. It's horrible. And for number 2, we have the sushi in an all-you-can-eat restaurant in Sesimbra, Portugal. Yes, I'm serious. Sushi is ranked higher than the pig's brain, some kind of animal that is concentrated in heavy metal, and literal rotting flesh. But yeah, just let me explain, okay? When I was visiting Sesimbra, my friend took me to this Chinese restaurant that serves sushi. And apparently in Portugal, people think sushi is supposed to be sweet. Yes, sweet. And I now finally understand why Japanese people think American sushi is basically a war crime. Because what they did to something I love is absolutely unforgivable. It is one thing to have something completely new but is absolutely disgusting, like a pig's brain or rotting fish. And then it's another thing to put something that you're familiar but happy with and just destroy it. I mean, annihilate it. Look at this. Look at this. It has condensed milk on it and almonds. And then this, chocolate on sushi? Chocolate. Chocolate. Right? And you have this. Absolutely bonkers. Mint. Mint! I hate mint. And you put it on sushi? What are you doing, Portuguese people? You think colonizing an entire other continent is not a crime enough? This is genocide. This is unforgivable. Who did this? Who think this is okay? And before I reveal the number 1 pick of the weirdest food I have ever had while traveling, let me tell you all about the honorable mentions that did not manage to fit into this list. Such as a weird Ecuadorian stew of avocado, potatoes, and pork skin, a gigantic horse meat market in Kazakhstan, another Peruvian jungle delicacy that is the grilled caiman crocodile, and right next to it, a deep-fried monkey. Trust me, it is a monkey. A kind of German ice cream that pretends it is a bowl of spaghetti. And finally, horseshoe crabs in Thailand that have blue blood. Yeah, that's pretty cool, huh? And the number 1 pick for the weirdest food I've ever had while traveling is hakko from Iceland. Yeah, seriously, what is up with Nordic people and their strange way of preserving fish? I mean, you first let them rot in a can and now you let them rot in the ground? Because this is literally how it's preserved. A Greenland shark is very poisonous if you just ingest it. So for Icelandic people, apparently not eating it is not an option. So what they do is actually they bury them in the ground and let it rot for 4 to 5 months. And then you pull them up and let them dry in a shed for 2 to 3 months. And yes, it tastes way worse than sustramine because it's not just rotting flesh. It's also because Greenland shark has a lot of urea in its flesh. And what they do when they go through the fermentation process is that they turn into ammonia, the thing you have in your bleach. So imagine the most rancid flesh just gone through the entire process and added with the strongest bleach you can ever have. That is how a hakko tastes like. And this is the only picture I have of this Icelandic delicacy. Because once that air seal jar was opened, the only thing that was in my mind was to get out of the room as quickly as possible. But luckily, I managed to stay and took a little bite of that delicacy. And yeah, it's not an over-exaggeration when I tell you it's the worst thing I've ever had. Because of this strong ammonia bleach taste, my entire nose and mouth was filled with this jarring taste for the rest of the day. And since it's very basic, it just burns down my windpipe and then into my stomach for about 24 to 36 hours. And I could feel it the entire way. So yeah, when they say Vikings are the most hardcore people, I totally believe them now. And now just thinking of this beautiful memory, it's starting to bring back some very pleasant
6.5 hours later.
Well, what do you think of these weird foods? Have you tried any of them before? Make sure to let me know in the comment section down below. And if you like this video, make sure to give it a big like so I will know that I can produce more videos like this. And if you have not subscribed, make sure to click the red subscribe button beneath me and I'll see you around, okay? And yeah, I have a little bit of a beautiful memory I need to go through first.